Hey yo dudes, what's up? It's your boy Happy Chap here. Welcome back to another Tutorial Tuesday. Yes! So on this one, as I've been saying for the last little while, we are going to be doing a Super Smelter or a fast furnace. There's going to be multiple versions of this, so this fast furnace or super smelter, as you can see, can be set up in a 64 configuration or a 32 configuration. All it is basically a mirrored build, so one next to each other. So what we're going to do on this episode is we'll build to one side, show you how it's done. You can do them right beside each other, as you see here. Or you can split it up, split the difference, make it 3 wide, 4 wide, however wide you need. But these are the items that you are going to need. Now, the fast furnace, these are the items that you're going to need here. So if you don't want to do the 64 version, just bring a little bit less furnaces, and also then just cut your hoppers basically in half too as well. And it cuts your powered rails down in half. So if you want to do the 32 version, I'll show you how to set that up at the end. But yeah, these are the items that you are going to need. Now, the one that we're going to be setting up right away is going to be used to smelt down some sand into glass. I'll show you how to set it up for a cactus farm too. It's a little bit different just because of how the minecarts load. And obviously do not use netherite. Don't use netherite. I mean, you can if you're rich enough. Okay, now before we do get into this build, this can look a little complicated, as you can see, even with all of the colors and everything in place. And then when you put it together, it looks even worse. But this is all we are building here. So there is basically 3 sections to this. There is the loader section, which also has a chest detection system on it. There is the detection system to make sure that the hopper minecart, when it gets sent out, will empty out all of the items and will not return to the top of the system until it is completely finished. And then we have the lower system here. This is for the fuel sources. So whatever you're going to use for fuel sources, coal, definitely use coal. This is the setup here that we are going to use. So basically, this minecart sits here full, always full, until this hopper here gets to a certain level on the comparator. So as you can see, but we have it set up so that as soon as we lose 1 block, so if we just go like this, we'll put 2 in there. As you can see, when it fills back up, the minecart sits back in its place and everything basically resets. Now, if you're cooking up stuff really fast, as you can see here, right, the minecart will basically send itself out, return back home, but always remain full. So as you can see, this minecart fills up right away, always returns full, and then when this gets back to, or the hoppers here, get back to 64, it stays in place. So it may seem a little complicated, but it's just, like I said, 3 separate systems, all compressed together, down on top of each other. But for now, let's go down, we'll show you where to start, and then we'll get into this build. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do for this build, determine if you're going to build on the right or the left. We are going to be starting on the right side, and we're just going to place down a double chest. Now for reference, right here is where we are starting on the build, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to run a row of 2 hoppers, 8 blocks long, going into that chest, like so, and then you're just going to place your furnaces down on top. Does not really matter if you see the fronts of them at all. And then on top of these furnaces, we're also going to run a row of hoppers going into them like that, and then another row of hoppers running around them going into their backs and their fronts. This is going to be used for the fuel sources. So the side hoppers here are for the fuel sources, the minecart with the fuel source. The top hopper here is for the items that you are smelting, and then the bottom hoppers here are for the items when they do come out. So glass, green dye, whichever you're going to be putting in this. Okay, once you have this furnace section done, you're just going to repeat this over here. So we're going to take our double chest. This is where our hoppers are going to go. So we're going to go double chest here. Then we're going to run a row of hoppers going into the back of it. Okay, once you have everything complete here like this, what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the back side. We're going to run a row of solid blocks going across the back here, like so. And then we're going to come to the front here, and we're going to run 2 solid blocks. And then in between these hoppers, we're going to run a row 2 wide, and we're going to bring that all the way across. So it should look like that. Okay. Then we're going to swing around to the back here. We're going to place down our trap door with a solid block, another solid block on the back, 3 pieces of glass, and then we're going to step it down, and we're going to run 5 pieces of solid block on the back sides of those hoppers. And then off of this wall that we just built, we're going to go 1, 2. So that is what everything should look like so far. Okay. That right there is the one side, and then here is the other. It's pretty straightforward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the top here. We're going to come to the front row that we just built with the trap door on it. We're going to come back 3. We're going to step up 1, place down a redstone block, and then off of the redstone block, we're going to run 4 blocks in total. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we're going to place down a temporary block. Okay. Place a solid block on top of it. Off of the back of the temporary block, we're going to run 2 solid blocks, and then another temporary block with a solid block above it. Okay, so it should look like that when you are all done. Now what we're going to do off this row that we just built, we're going to go 1, 2 off the back here. Then we're going to step it in 1. We're going to run 1, 2, 3 more. And then we're just going to ladder down to that little section right there. So you can go temporary block, ladder, temporary block, and then your solid block. Okay, once we're all done, that right there is the left and front side. Okay, pretty straightforward. Then we have the back side too, swing around, which goes around here. Now, the reason why we set up all of these things first is so that way we can get our rails in place. Now, first thing we need to do though is remove this block and replace it with a, well, depending on how you're setting this up, we're going to replace it with a redstone block like so. So here's what we're going to do with our rails. We're going to start with our powered rails, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go detector rail right there on the angle, and then power rail, power rail, power rail, power. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fall down here. We're going to place down a powered rail with a regular one, and then we're going to run a row of powered rails going this direction. Then we're going to turn the corner, run our powered rails going back, run our regular rails up, around, and then back down. The reason why we want to bring them out like this is so that way this hopper, for some reason, when you turn the corner here, picks up 1 extra. So if we bring it out and around and straight down, we do not get that. Then just turn your corner again, run your rails, turn your corner 1 more time, and then right here on this glass, we're going to go detector rail with a powered rail. 4 more powered rails. We're going to turn the corner, run our powered rails going up the hill here, and then just turn the corner and run it going into that powered rail there. So there is the upper loop of what the upper rail should look like. And that right there is what your upper rail section should look like. Now, right here in front of this rail, what you're going to do is you're going to place down a temporary block with a solid block right in front of it. Then you can remove that. And what that does is that ensures the rail drops straight down here onto this powered rail. And now we can move on to the lowered railed section. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down a temporary block with a solid block above it, like so. Then we're going to come around to this hopper section here, right where the trap door is. We're going to bring it out 2, back 6, and then up 1, and that is what you should have right there. And now for the lower section, the lower loading section, what we're going to do is we're just going to place down a temporary rail with our detector rail, and then our powered rails go in this direction, turn the corner, bring it up, and then just run your powered rails all the way around and just use your regular rails on the backside. Okay, once you have all of your rails in place, you're just going to come back to the back here, remove this temporary rail, and then place down a solid block so that way it points up like so. And once you're all complete, that is what your rail system should look like right there. Very straightforward, pretty simple. If you do it in the way that I did it too as well, you shouldn't have any hiccups when you're placing down the rails or any misconnections or anything whatsoever. We'll power these afterwards once we get the farm done. Okay, now it's time to get some redstone in place, so we won't buzz through this one as fast. We'll slow down a little bit, okay? So for the first one, we're going to set up the upper rail here. Beside this detector rail, what you're going to do is you're going to run a 6 long row, so 1. So that is 6 long, like so. Then we're just going to turn the corner. We're going to place down 2 more, and then another 2. We're going to step it up 1, and then we're going to place 1 more, just like that. Now what we can do is we can go comparator with 3 redstone dust, so 1, 2, 3, repeater, and then just run your redstone dust up and around to here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our sticky piston, we're going to run it off of that piece of redstone dust with a block of redstone coming off of that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to place a temporary block in front of that block of redstone, and then you're going to place down your fence gate, and you want to make sure that it goes sideways this way so that the rails catch on the corner here. Okay, so that's the section right there that detects when the minecart is full and sends it off. Now what you're going to do is you're going to place down a solid block here beside the comparator with another solid block above the comparator. Then you're going to step it out 1 block. We're going to turn the corner here. Then we're going to step it down 1 so we can even just fill in this void, and then place another block right above that rail. So this is what it should look like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our comparator, we're going to place it here, run our redstone dust down and around and into this block right there. Now what we can do is we can run a chest going into that comparator, so that comparator will read whatever signal is in here. Now we're just going to take a piece of redstone dust, place it down on this block here, and then we're going to place a redstone torch here like so. And as you can see, everything should active. Now let's talk about a little bit how this system works. Now basically how the system works is this system here detects when there is an item in this chest. Now whenever it detects an item is in this chest, it's going to wait, because of the redstone signal that we have set up here, it's going to wait until it gets a certain amount of items in this chest before it actually powers this rail and sends off the minecart. So as you can see, when this chest gets nice and full, it powers this rail here, sending the minecart up and into this little section here to collect whatever items are in this chest. Now, this gate will activate in 2 ways, both when the chest is empty and as well when the hopper minecart or whatever is underneath here gets to a certain level. So we have it set up so that the hopper minecart on this system will collect a stack plus 1 of sand before it sends it off and over to the furnace system. So that right there is what your upper section should look like. If we go around to this side, everything should be nice and flush and flat, as you can see. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the fuel system send-off system. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down 2 blocks, just like so, with a redstone torch on the backside. Then what we're going to do is off of the fuel hopper here, so off of this first fuel hopper, what we're going to do is we're going to run 3 blocks. Then we're going to take our comparator and run it into that redstone torch. Then we're going to run a solid block above the redstone torch, another one above this comparator here, a piece of redstone dust on the block above the torch, then place a solid block going into that redstone dust. Okay, so like so, it's kind of like a little step up and then down. And then we're just going to place down a redstone block with a solid block above it, and then a sticky piston above that. And that is what it should look like. Now what we need to do is we need to place a comparator beside this detector rail. We don't need to place anything right there. And 2 more comparators on these back blocks coming off of this, fuel hopper right there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to run your observer facing down and into that comparator. And then on top of your observer, you're going to place down your sticky piston facing into this sticky block here. And that right there is what your system should look like. It seems complicated when everything is all together, but really, when you do it system by system, it's very straightforward. Now, our final step is just to place down a fence gate here that in front of that solid block that is above the redstone block, and then set up our fuel system with our hopper going down and into this little section right here for our minecart to grab from. To activate this system is right here beside this first comparator. We're going to place down a redstone block, and then in front of it, we're going to place down our piece of redstone dust. Now there's one more system that we do need to put into this one, and it's going to be the system that detects when there's still items inside the hopper minecart when it is flying around through here. So let's say you want to set this up so that way when you activate a switch, your items come into this system, and you want to ensure that when this chest is empty up here, your hopper minecart dispenses all of the items before it returns to its starter spot again. Off of this first detector rail here that we put on the piece of glass, what you're going to do is you're going to go 1, 2, and then turn the corner, jump up and inside, so just place down a temporary block and jump up and in, and then just go comparator with a piece of redstone dust. Again, just temporary blocks to jump up and in, then go repeater. Off of the repeater, just go a solid block like that, then a sticky piston facing in, okay, with a solid block on the front side of it. Now what that's going to do is whenever a minecart comes over it, so as you can see, this minecart is empty, so nothing happens. It can return back to its starting position for when you need to activate your farm. But if something is still inside the minecart, as you can see, this piston activates, When the minecart pushes over top of this rail, it powers this activator rail here, sending it back through so that way it will refurnace all of your items and then come back towards the end and then to its restart position. Okay, now there's a very important step that we need to do right now since we have this slime block in place, and what we need to do is we need to remove this rail and the block that is below it. And then we need to replace this with a piece of obsidian, and then we can put our rail back on top. Now this is to ensure that this slides back and forwards and doesn't disturb this rail up here, and everything should stay functioning. Now our final step is just to power these rails, so just place down your redstone blocks in between anywhere, literally anywhere, as long as it's connected to both blocks, we should be good to go. So you want to make sure that these two here connect to all three of these rail sections. And as you can see, everything is powered and ready to go. Now we just need to get our fuel sources in place. Okay, so that is what it should look like right there. And then we just need to place a hopper minecart here on top of this rail that is unpowered on the back. Okay, and that right there is what everything should look like when it is all done. It can seem complicated when it's all kind of conjumbled and combrumbled together like that, but when you break it down into its little systems, so I've even separated these here into separate stones so that you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Not really, but it still kind of makes sense. Okay, so there's your little roundabout of what everything should look like. So make sure you get it all in place. And now what we need to do is we need to just get our fuel system in place and then mirror this on the opposite side. So if you need to build this out to the 64 version, just do what you did there, literally on the opposite side here. Okay, so again, that is what it should look like right there. Okay, so here's your nice little roundabout of what it should look like. It's pretty intense, but now all we need to do is 2 input chests, right there and right there. Fill the bottom one here with whatever fuel source you want. As you can see, it'll load up into these hoppers and these hopper minecarts, or chest minecarts, sorry. Make sure that all of your furnaces have fuel in them, okay, even if it's just a little bit. And then we're going to go up, and then once we fill our main chest up here, as you can see, system is activated. Sand gets sent out, it gets evenly distributed, and as soon as these fill up about 5 or 6, and then that back hopper, see, there you go, everything gets activated and you are smelting. Now, as you can see, once this system gets going, you're getting glass pretty fast. If this was Cactus 2 as well, just think of the XP that you're generating out of this machine. It's insane. Like, that is real time right there. That is real time. Oh my goodness. So yeah, there you have it. That is the amazing Super Smelter. It is completely automatic. As soon as this here finishes or runs out of sand, what's going to happen is these minecarts will park themselves, the system will completely shut off, and then whenever you refill it or whenever you reactivate whatever farm that you have connected to it, everything will reactivate, send out, do whatever it needs to do, and get the job done for you. For the 32 version, it's literally the exact same thing. All you're doing is just spreading your furnaces out so that way, yeah, you can have your room in between. You can lock these furnaces too just by putting some redstone to them so you can collect the XP out of it. There's multiple ways you could run your redstone on this upper detector rail here. So let's say you want your hopper minecarts or whatever are up here in order to take only half a stack. You can just shorten your redstone so that way it happens. If you want it to fill up all the way and take more, you just extend this redstone, and that thing is just gliding on the rails right now. But nonetheless, that is it, doers. So there's going to be a link in the description for the world download. I know this one's a little bit more advanced than the usual Tutorial Tuesdays. We've been doing very basic, very simple stuff. This one, we stepped it up a little bit. We sure did. And as you can see, just by me chit-chatting, the glass is just coming in. I don't know what's faster, a trading hall or this. You tell me. But anyways, leave a like, consider subscribing, shop Happy Jappy for your world downloads. This one will be in the description too as well. I can't believe we just surpassed 60,000 subscribers. You guys are literally amazing. Thank you all so much for the support. It's literally insane. It's insane. Thank you all so much. Love you guys. See you on the next episode. Peace.